Hi, and welcome to week 11 of our course. This week we're going to be taking a little reprieve between a couple of weeks that have us looking at bigger projects. So this past week we completed the article comparison. If you have not yet turned that in at the time that you're watching this video, please do so. I do accept late work up to 3 days late with a penalty. But if you have missed that deadline, it's really important that you do go ahead and submit your assignment so that you can receive partial credit. This week we're going to be looking at storytelling, and storytelling is a really important piece of the puzzle when we look at not only analyzing and synthesizing information, finding information, utilizing it, but also when we put it back out, when we create modes that we ourselves use to communicate information. It is said that storytelling is one of the most powerful tools that can be used by any communicator, and that storytelling allows us to actually retain information, perhaps the easiest of any of the modes of communication. So if you're told something in a story type format, that it's more likely that you can retain it. So as we think about storytelling, there's a couple of readings, articles that are linked here that I think that you'll find are interesting and relevant. So some easy reading, some light reading this week. And then for our attendance, I'm going to have you look at the StoryCorps project, which some of you might be familiar with. And they do very brief, around 3-minute interviews and stories that are their idea is just to connect us kind of to our humanity and to each other. So I'd like for you to visit the website for StoryCorps, follow these 3 prompts. That's going to be your attendance for this week as you think about this idea and concept of storytelling and how it relates to all of us, really. The stories at StoryCorps are just kind of everyday, average people, but they all have a story to tell. So that's our attendance and our reading for this week. And then lastly, I want to jump ahead 2 weeks to week 13. And that's our next big project that's due. That's going to be our podcast. So when we look at our podcast prompt, I want you to pursue this concept of storytelling this week in the vein that I think it really could be helpful with your podcast. We're going to ask for a 2 to 3 minute podcast, and you're going to take a topic from the course that you'd like to learn more about, and you're going to discuss it. You're going to research it. Again, this is 2 to 3 minutes, but you might be surprised at what that content looks like in order for you to be able to speak for 2 to 3 minutes. For some of you, it might be shorter than you thought. For some of you, it might be longer. You're going to write a script and record it as if it's for a professional outlet. So I do want you to think about using something that might be a little bit more sophisticated than a voice memo app on your phone. I've listed a few here for you that you can experiment with. Very few people would be able to complete an engaging, fluid podcast for 2 to 3 minutes in one run without some editing. I know for me, when I record these videos, this is more of a streaming lecture type way of recording these videos that's somewhat conversational, not necessarily professional, something that I'm putting out there for the entire world to see. And I will notice the pauses in my voice, and I will record these several times to get them right. And I don't utilize a system that allows me to edit. So what I'm saying is that I do expect this to be done in a manner that is professional, and I think it would be helpful if you just experimented with a tool that might allow you to do that more successfully and more efficiently. The rubric below, as always for our assignments, will explain the content, organization, audience analysis, and delivery requirements. And I want you to review these so that you can be successful. I also want you to think about how the idea of storytelling is going to play into your podcast. We're looking here at a more factual-based podcast because you are taking a topic, you are doing a little research, and you are going to discuss it further. However, this does need to be more than just reading a paper into a voice recorder. So if you can find a concept, like a story that weaves through any of these concepts, if you can find a small personal story to share about the concept as an introduction or as a conclusion, if you can think of this concept of storytelling and how it might energize your podcast, how it might make your audience more captivated with your particular message, I think that you will find that a very successful tool. So I do want you to keep that in mind as we look at this deadline that's coming up in a couple of weeks. So for now, back to our main page here for week 11, we have attendance. We have a couple of articles that are going to delve deeper into this concept of storytelling, and then we're going to be looking ahead and thinking about how these concepts that we're studying this week can help us in the future as we look toward completing the podcast. And there might be some of you that actually would like to work ahead on that as we get closer to the holidays and deeper into the semester. As always, if you have concerns or questions, please reach out using the inbox function on Canvas or using the contact information that I provided in the syllabus. The syllabus is always available here for you. I know my instructor panel looks a little different than yours, but syllabus will always be here to the left, and you can contact me through that contact info that I've provided there. I hope you have a good week. Thank you.